Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to chat today. I'm Pete Derrico. I'm a senior product marketing manager for Microsoft Teams, and I lead product marketing for the integration between Teams and Microsoft Power Platform. I'm joining you today from cloudy Seattle, Washington, and my basement. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you about how we can stay productive while working apart, which is becoming an increasingly important priority for many of us, including us here at Microsoft. So I know there's a lot going on, so I'll just really try to focus on two main things for our discussion today. One, Microsoft Teams can help organizations stay connected and productive with capabilities like meeting, calling, chat, and collaboration. Two, Microsoft Teams is a platform that can allow you to digitize and automate business processes that are critical to running your business, and in particular with the capabilities of Power Platform. Now, these are not just hypothetical benefits. Organizations like PayPal, St. Luke's, and the American Red Cross are already on this journey, and they're seeing real impact from this integration. Now, what is Microsoft Teams? In case you're not familiar, we think of Teams as the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365, where it brings everything together that a team needs into one location. So that's meeting and calling with video and screen sharing, chat and collaboration powered by the capabilities and the applications of Office 365. And you can customize the experience by integrating and creating apps and workflows for Microsoft Teams. As a matter of example, I'm presenting to you for Microsoft Teams, and I'm chatting with my colleagues to make sure that this presentation stays on track. So, knock on wood. But let's address the elephant in the room. Staying productive while working apart is more important than ever. It says a lot that we're meeting today on Teams instead of a conference center. Now, this chart is from early April, which feels like a lifetime ago, but the trends remain the same. In April, we saw over 200 million meeting participants in a single day, generating more than 4.1 billion meeting minutes. That is a lot of remote work, and we're continually working to support that remote work. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're doing so today. But first, I want to share a really important example of how one customer is doing this. And it's an organization that's of particular significance for me. But they are actually not only maintaining their productivity, but they're enhancing it and at the same time creating better experiences and outcomes for their patients. So let's go to the video.
So I think at this point, this is definitely a sea change.
The amount of changes that have happened in medicine in the last 2 weeks are like more than I would have expected in like 2 decades.
We have rolled out Teams across our network, and we went from essentially no televisits to approaching 5,000 visits a day in the last week.
You connect with them via a video visit. The partner actually can interact and hear the counseling that's done and provides them with an additional layer of reassurance.
These visits are surprisingly intimate.
And I can actually share my screen and show the x-rays.
5-10 minutes and we were done, and she could go outside and play with her kids.
So via a video visit, we save a mask essentially with every visit. You consider that almost 13,000 masks from an outpatient perspective.
From the clinical aspect, it allows us to continue to take care of the patient. So we still can provide prenatal care.
We really moved some mountains in our network, and none of it was done in person.
We were able to use Teams to train people on the app. I think we trained 1,900 people in 3 days.
That is pretty amazing.
Well, so I don't know how we would have accomplished all this without using Teams.
Completely agree. This is going to be a game changer for medicine.
Wow, I love that quote. The amount of changes in medicine in the last 2 weeks are more than I would have expected in 2 decades. That's pretty impactful. So the first thing that I said we'd discuss today is how you can stay connected and productive with Microsoft Teams. That could be a pretty lengthy conversation, so I'll try my best to focus on some of the key capabilities and the new features that we're discussing, and then we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. Perhaps one of the biggest shifts that this transition to remote work has brought has been the prevalence of video meetings. And if you're like me, it's been a lot of video meetings. And as these Teams meetings are becoming even larger, We're providing an expanded video layout that allows more participants to show up on screen at any given time to allow more participation and more interaction and more engagement. And you should be seeing this coming out in the very near future. Now, since meetings are such an important part of the current situation, we're rolling out a number of new capabilities and features that make more productive and inclusive meeting experiences. And I'll actually turn to my colleague Aya to explain a little more about what those are. So let's go to Aya.
With many people working from home, virtual meetings are more important than ever. And with new AI capabilities, Teams addresses a lot of pain points that people may be feeling with remote meetings. Let me show you. While background blur can remove maybe a distraction of a messy room or people behind you, I can instantly transport myself to a more professional setting, let's say like an office. I also have a variety of other backgrounds I can choose from as well. I can even upload my own image, just like you see here. So now that I'm ready to enter the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and join. Hey everyone, how's it going? We also want to make sure that meetings are inclusive for everyone. So while I'm in the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and turn on live captions. We've built this feature for those who are deaf or hard of hearing, or have different levels of language proficiency, or are dialing in from a noisy environment. This makes it easy for people to follow along with what's happening in the meeting. But speaking of inclusivity, we are soon giving meeting participants the way to actually signal that they need to say something, which can actually be really hard in a large meeting environment. So you can see here, Megan has her hand raised. I can easily raise my hand by just clicking on the icon here. So now this ensures that all voices are being heard in the meeting. Now, I'm sure all of us have also been in meetings where there's a lot of background noise, whether that's people in an open space or people are typing loudly on their keyboard. Now we will be rolling out a feature where using AI, we can actually remove all of that distracting background noise. So let me show you how this works. Let me go ahead and pin Robert here. Hey, Robert, can you help me show how this works?
Hi, Aya. Yeah, as Aya said, if you're on a call and you're joined in a meeting, and now somebody is starting to eat some chips, opening the chip bag, you can hear a lot of background noise, and it's very hard to understand me very clearly.
Yeah, that's pretty loud. Do you mind showing us the difference?
Yeah, so now with the power of AI, Teams can remove that background noise, and you can understand me very clearly.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks, Robert. With AI and these new Teams experiences, we can continue to make meetings more and more productive.
Thanks, Aya. But staying connected does not just mean staying connected within our organizations. It also means staying connected with customers, which is why I'm excited to show you Bookings. Bookings is a new meeting scheduling capability that we announced earlier this year. It allows organizations to schedule and conduct B2C meetings with their customers. So you can imagine a number of scenarios like a doctor visit or a job interview or a remote consultation like we'll discuss today. So with Bookings, I see this scheduling in the calendar, which allows me to identify which of the designers are available at any given time and schedule one. So let's go ahead and start on that process. So this should look very similar to scheduling a meeting. I'll just go ahead and input some of the information like the attendee name, their email, when I actually want this consultation to occur, and the staff that'll be joining it. So here you can see I've scheduled this booking for 10:30 today, and Miriam and Anne are going to join that. And our customer Adele here receives this customized email confirmation, and they can actually join this Teams meeting even if they don't have Teams installed on their device. But sometimes you need to serve a larger audience, and that's where live events come in. Live events allow you to create an immersive broadcast experience for a larger audience, including interactive Q&A. So it's great because you can do things like invite people outside of your organization, address large groups of up to 100,000 attendees, and even have an engaging Q&A with the participants. So you can do things like hosting online conferences. Now, the second thing that I said we would talk about today is how you can digitize and automate business processes to really maintain business continuity for your organization. You'll recall that I said that Teams is a platform to run your business on. And I like to think about it as a bit of a layer cake where at the top we have the ready-made applications. They're available off the shelf like SharePoint or Office 365 applications, or any of the hundreds of partner applications that you can go ahead and bring directly into Teams so you have that one hub for work. At the other end of the spectrum, we have those full code custom solutions that you may have spent time and resources developing, and we want you to really retain the benefit of those, but again, put them in that one place where your entire organization is already working, which is Teams. What I want to focus on is this middle section of low-code app and workflow development powered by Power Platform of Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Virtual Agents. And we'll discuss a little bit about that, what that looks like soon. We like to really hypothesize about what organizations, our customers are going to be doing with this Teams and Power Platform integration. But in reality, what the customers do is even more impressive and exciting. So whether that's streamlining meetings and communication at PayPal, creating digital tools for field employees and putting them right where they're working on Teams and their mobile devices at Telstra, digitizing a lot of paper-based processes like Northwell Health, or just pulling everything together into one location in Teams like the American Red Cross. Now we'll talk a little more about the scenarios that you can imagine solving with Teams and Power Platform. Before we do that, I think it's important to really show a little bit of what that experience looks like and what the product looks like in case you haven't seen it. So let's go ahead and show a short Teams and Power Platform demo.
For the purposes of this demo, let's assume that we work in a warehouse where we actually process customer returns. Think of returning a clock to Amazon and how that is actually processed by the warehouse workers. So what's typically done is a paper-based process where approvals are shared between managers via email or spreadsheets. We've actually gone ahead and put all of that into digital tools built with Power Platform and put them into Teams so that anyone can access them. So first, let me start with the processing of the return. You can see in my operations team, I have a returns processing channel. We can have conversations about all the returns and the new applications we've built. And I've gone ahead and pinned the app that I've built directly to this channel. So you can see that the app actually opens up directly within Teams. And I'll go ahead and start this process return. So you can see that this app is basically a form that includes all the important information I would need to capture, but I can even do more powerful things when I incorporate AI Builder. For example, I'll upload a picture of the item that's going to be returned, and that will, one, identify the model that is being returned, and pre-populate some of the information on the form itself. From there, I can go ahead and fill in the rest of the details. I can make suggest that this is approved, rate the condition from 1 to 5, provide details about the store, and submit the return. So the details of the return are stored to a SharePoint list, and if it ended right there, that'd still be impressive. But we actually have an approvals process that we need to follow so that the managers can have a say as to whether or not they agree with the initial return recommendation. And that's actually been posted automatically to this manager returns approvals channel that I have here. So when I hit submit, it creates this adaptive card that the managers can actually take action on directly from within the chat. So for example, they can see the link to the details that I just inputted and then approve or reject. So now we have a record of all the returns that have been processed and the outstanding approvals that need to be made by the managers. But if I want to abstract from just my warehouse, I can actually look at the aggregate data for returns. And here I have this returns insight channel, which I posted a Power BI report directly to. So you can see this Power BI report that has all of the important details of all my returns, and I can do great things that I would expect to do in Power BI, like slicing them to really drill down on the important information that I need to make better decisions. But we're also a team, and so we want to make sure that we can have a little bit of fun as well. And so here I have this team fun channel that I've done things like welcoming new team members to the team. And you can see there's a number of different new team members that have been added. And it just looks like I've been kind of busy sending these welcoming messages. What I've actually done is create a flow using Power Automate that streamlines the entire process. So let me show you that really quickly. I'll go ahead and actually open up my Flow app and look at the flows that I've created. Here you can see this when a new team member is added flow that I've created. I'll go ahead and click this edit button. You can see it's just 3 simple steps. When a new team member is added to the operations team, grab their user ID from their Office 365 profile, and then the operations team and the team fund channel post this message. You can see this text is standard that will appear the same for everyone, but I've also included dynamic elements like their name, their given name, their office location, their job title, so that it's a really customized experience whenever someone is added to the team. And so not only does it create a welcoming environment, but it also shares very important information that they need to quickly ramp up.
Back in March, we developed a crisis communications solution template using the tools of the Power Platform. It allows users to easily access the information they need during a time of crisis. Putting that solution into Teams makes it accessible, discoverable, and builds upon the conversational nature of Teams. We've made the solution open source on GitHub and provided easy instructions to how to add that solution to Teams. I'm very excited that going forward, you'll see more of these solutions that are prepackaged and built with Power Platform and intended to be loaded into Teams. We'll make that experience of actually adding those solutions to Teams even easier. So keep your eyes open for that. Now I'll share one more way that I'm really excited about using Teams and Power Platform in the future. I have a new team member who's going to be onboarding virtually this summer. They'll be an intern and they'll be with us for about 3 months. And so it's likely that we'll never actually meet in person. But I want them to have a great onboarding experience so they can feel like they're part of the team, ramp up quickly, and create real impact for Microsoft in a very quick amount of time. And so I'm actually going to use a combination of Power Platform and Teams to help facilitate that onboarding experience. For example, when they join the team, they'll see this rich card posted directly to them in Teams. And I'll share important information like links that they should be referencing, information that they'll need to quickly ramp up, introductions, and just create a generally welcoming environment so that they feel like they're part of the team right away. Now, if they have questions about policies or benefits that they either don't want to bring to me or just really want to be able to self-serve, we'll have this Power Virtual Agents bot directly in Teams so that he can interact with it kind of on an as-needed and self-serve basis. I'll also be adding an app that I've built with Power Apps directly to Teams, so they have one location to actually conduct and track all of their onboarding activities, whether that's creating their profile or submitting important documents. It'll all happen right here in Teams in this app that they can easily find without having to search a bunch of different links. And lastly, as a manager or perhaps HR, if I want to really dive into how this onboarding experience is going, I'll have this Power BI report that's pinned directly to a channel, so I can quickly identify some of the areas that are, perhaps working particularly well in the onboarding experience, or that we need to double down on for future experiences. Now, what we talked about today is really just kind of scratching the surface on the scenarios that you can solve or the business processes that you can automate and digitize with Teams and Power Platform. You'll see a couple of departmental examples here, but I'm just really excited to see kind of what you all are going to be building and doing with this integration. So just to recap, there were 2 things I said we were going to talk about today. The first is how Microsoft Teams can help organizations stay connected and productive through capabilities like meeting, calling, chat, and collaboration. And the second is how we think of Microsoft Teams as this platform to really digitize and automate your business processes through custom applications and workflows, in particular with the capabilities of Microsoft Power Platform. Now, as we wrap up here, I know 20 minutes of presentation plus a few more for a Q&A is just not going to be sufficient. And so I'd encourage everyone to consider joining these business applications communities. They're really a great portal that I've benefited from greatly in my journey. They provide resources and just camaraderie with the business application community. And so with that, I'd love to jump into Q&A and kick that off. So Chris, can you go ahead and start us?
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Bryan. I am a product marketing manager for Microsoft Teams. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. We have some great number of questions, and love to see the diversity of where people are actually dialing in. I am actually based out of Chicago, Illinois. I think there was a Chicagoan in there too, so hi there. The first question we have here to kick us off is, Pete, can you please explain the vision for increasing video tiles for meeting participants? And is there a goal to increase the number of video tiles in a meeting soon?
Yeah, no, great question. So I shared a little bit of that 9-panel view earlier. That has already actually begun rolling out. So you can have up to nine participants join and show their video at a single time. That will be available to, it's rolling out in waves and be available to all customers, all commercial customers, ideally by the end of May. And obviously we understand that there is interest in expanding even beyond that, and so that is certainly something that we're investigating.
Great, thank you, Pete. Another question for Ergene. He would love to understand if Team is going to be part of Office 365. He's an Office 365 personal customer, so I think broader than that, like which suite does Teams comes with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really think of, like I said, Teams is kind of that hub for Microsoft 365. So you can find it in any of our Office 365 SKUs, from the E5 enterprise SKU all the way down to first line worker SKUs, because we just think it's really important to be able to tie everything together.
Great, thank you, Pete. We have one other question with Brandon. He's asking specifically about Power BI. His question is, if you pin a Power BI report to a channel, does everyone need Power BI Pro?
Yeah, so to actually interact with Power BI in Teams, it is the same licensing structure that you would expect for Power BI kind of outside of Teams. So any capabilities that you'd want to leverage there, you would need the same licensing structure that you would have for Power BI. Putting it into Teams is really just kind of moving it and placing it in that one location. So yeah, the same licensing requirements still apply.
Great, thank you, Pete. One additional question. Some of the folks joining us live are wondering if you have any additional examples of how customers have been using Power Platform for things like their frontline workers.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've worked closely with the team at Telstra, which is the largest telecom provider in Australia. And so they've actually rolled out Power Platform tools in Teams to their entire field workforce. So these are the folks who are, repairing wire, repairing cables, or serving customers in their homes. And they provided them with a single application in Teams that has a number of other nested applications below it, which provide things like updated rate cards and promotions so that their workers are constantly aware of those. It's allowed them to manage their personal performance through this application. So identifying, what are their professional goals for the time period and how they're tracking against them. It's allowed them to report problems as they see them and better kind of track where those are occurring and what the resolution path is. So I just have to say the Telstra folks have done an amazing job, far beyond kind of what I could have even imagined. And so they would definitely be an example that I would look to understand how first line workers are benefiting from this Teams and Power Platform integration.
Awesome, thank you, Pete. We have another question from Nick. He's wondering if the Q&A that they're currently using is powered by Power App.
Which Q&A? Can you clarify?
The form that they're using to submit questions in this meeting.
Oh, no. So that's a slightly different experience. That is not Power Apps. You could imagine building a Power Apps app to accomplish a similar thing, but no, not in this case.
Awesome. One other question we have from the team is we see a lot of our people who are joining in the phone are either in the midst or beginning their journey to Teams. And they're wondering if there is a good source of information for them to look at, like a website, where they can go and learn more about how to deploy Teams.
Yeah, so there's a website called Getting Started with Teams that provides a lot of great onboarding resources. It'll have documentation and videos. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at that. You can kind of go as deep as you want, or just kind of catch some of the stuff that's most relevant for you. But definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. And just to add to that, we create a short link called, if you go to aka.ms/success with Teams, that's going to be your link for technical documentation. So highly recommended for you guys to come there. There's, as Pete mentioned, a lot of like getting started, but also adoption resources, because we saw a couple of questions coming about like, how do I drive adoption of Teams in my organization? Great tips in there too. Great. Another question that we have is, people are wondering, when is the booking app available?
So the Bookings app will be available in the very near future. I'll defer on that a little bit, but definitely keep an eye out for that. Yeah, and just to like add to Pete's point, if you also are curious about what is the latest and greatest that we release over the last couple of months, our Microsoft Technical Community blog has every month a summary of how has been released. So if you're wondering what was released in April, May, just keep an eye on that blog. It comes out at the end of every month. Awesome. We have a chance for one more questions. Let's see. We have, who will be the lucky final question here? Let's go with this one. The question is, will Teams support being signed in with multiple identities, similar to the experience in Outlook? I might need a little more clarification on that one, and I don't know, Chris, if you have an answer for that either. Yeah. I think if I were to like try to like double click into that specific situation, I think they're thinking about if you had maybe you're part of multiple organizations, or you even want to use Teams for Live. We recently announced a couple of months ago. If there's any plans to support that. And I can offer my perspective, and Pete, feel free to jump in. But I think right now we have the ability to have multiple sign into multiple tenants, so you will have to like switch tenants in between. Definitely, we're working on making sure that we develop a smoother experience for customers in that sense. However, you do have the ability, as we announced a couple of weeks ago, to soon add a personal account to your Teams to be able to use Teams to interact with your friends and family. So whether you are planning a trip, whether you're trying to plan a family dinner, those capabilities will come in soon too. Preview will happen later this summer. So if you're interested, you can go into our website for Teams for Live, and you will be able to sign up for those features. Yeah, I'm excited to use that with my son's preschool. So yeah. Well, first of all, Chris, thank you for moderating and flagging those questions. They're great, and for everyone who provided them. I just again want to say thank you for joining today. I know it's a trying time, and so we're really excited that you were able to join us and hear a little bit about what Teams and Teams Empower Platform can look like. There's a ton of great sessions that I would encourage you all to check out through the rest of the conference. And with that, I'll sign off and thank you again.